Hello, I'm Kim Solez, and for those of you who have watched my videos before, I think there's a simple calculus that there's a threshold for might cause you to react to one of my videos and actually do stuff. And I would argue that perhaps today we've reached that threshold. So let me tell you what I mean by that. Well, first of all, there's this list behind me. It's an all-inclusive list, big 24 challenges of humanity that could be addressed collaboratively with AI. And yeah, we're quite proud of this all-inclusive list, but perhaps for you, it's just not sufficient for you to act, right? And then on May 20th, I reacted to Yuval Noah Harari's article in The Economist, in which he argued, as he had before, that all human culture would be wrecked because in the future, computers will make all the big decisions and all the peak plot lines are dependent on humans making decisions, and humans wouldn't make big decisions anymore, so all human culture would be wrecked. And I had said 4.5 years ago that I did not think that was the case, that humans are adaptable, that we would figure out solutions and be able to change things so that with all this extra intellect around, that human culture would actually be better than it is today. And so that video of May 20th also may not have been sufficient for you to react. So what has happened since then? Well, you know now that Hollywood is on strike. First, the writers were on strike, and now the actors are on strike. This hasn't happened for 63 years. Actually, Ronald Reagan was the person in charge of the Screen Actors Guild when it happened before in 1960, but it's happened again. And so when Yuval Noah Harari talked about human culture being wrecked when AI makes all the big decisions, that was a future event. Maybe you thought it was far off. But this is a present event occurring right now today, and it's going to impact you, the entertainment side of your life, almost immediately. And so I think now, between those three things, that maybe you would be stimulated to act on some of this information. And this is not a local problem. It's not an Edmonton problem. We're thinking that, you could address it maybe in the beginning in 18 cities around the world. And there could be actually buildings. We haven't figured out whether this would be a residential building or in the downtown area of those cities. But yeah, so we would have some sort of physical manifestation of what I and the Just Machines company are doing. And then who would we be? Well, there are the students working with me, quite an impressive group of students. And then there are the 28 people, part of the research team for the 2 grants I've written recently. And they're a very diverse group and really a wonderful group if you wanted to accomplish anything. Yeah, so you might think that indeed now we're kind of addressing the future of everything, and this might be worthy of support. And so what about the changes necessary? They're not going to happen by themselves, right? So that's maybe the key thing. what we hopefully can do is stimulate interest and activity around the world in, for instance, figuring out when it is actually rational to have computers make all the big decisions. How can we enhance human culture? We have a human culture that maybe now includes mind reading, selective mind reading, the parts that others want you to read of their thoughts, you can read, and so on. And practically anything we want to create, AI can help to make the writing, the graphics, the big ideas better. So why shouldn't human culture be better? But we have to figure that out. How is that going to work? What will the peaks of the plot lines be now? Doesn't sound very exciting. And then we brought the question to the machine. But anyway, yeah, so how will culture work in the future? So I think in a way, maybe that makes things that I'm talking about more interesting than they've ever been for you before, because you always thought the idea before was, how can AI help us with this? But you realize now it also impacts on entertainment and actors having the rights to their own images and voice and video and so on. There are a lot of things to be figured out. So part of this generally important, figuring out how things are going to work in the future on behalf of humanity. You're aware that I think that there are many problems that we cannot solve that machines will easily be able to solve on our behalf, and a world with them in charge, but working to make the best world that can exist for humans and the other living things on the planet could be a pretty good world. So I wanted to get you thinking about this and see if we have now reached the critical mass of important and entertaining stuff that you would be moved to action. And then what would that action look like? And what if you're not in one of these 18 cities? And no, I think there's still lots to do, even if you're not in one of those 18 cities. And yeah, and what should the buildings look like? Have I gotten it all wrong? Or do you think this actually would work for headquarters around the world? Yeah, and just to bring you back to the 24 big challenges that we began with, and see if you think you might like to address those along with addressing your entertainment needs. And remember that you're aware of Occam's razor, but yeah, there's also Elon Musk's razor, which is that the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. So you probably never thought there was a relationship between predicting the future and entertainment, but Elon says there is. So yeah, anyway, so that allows us then to put everything together, the strike in Hollywood, and you all know Harari's prediction, which I think is wrong, that all human culture will be wrecked in the future, and addressing these 24 challenges of humanity. Yeah, so I'd love to know what you think about all this, and thank you very much.